Father Eamonn McCarthy is my name, with you, the priest director of Radio Maria Ireland, and I'm a priest of the Diocese of Cloyne. Big shout out to all our friends on Facebook Live and YouTube Live and everywhere else. Good to have your company too. Do drop a comment anytime you'd like there as well. Now, we had some lovely feedback to the Ignite conference last Saturday. It was a real buzz, fantastic, and really kudos to Sarah and Brendan and to all involved. Annette, there was a team of them there, Jack. Fine young university students, really, really impressive now, I must say, to see the way they had it all well organised and all well orchestrated, and some wonderful speakers too. Unable to video very much of course being an online gig, but we had a lovely chat with a question and answer session there with Joe Barkos. So that was one of the first opening items for the Ignite conference. So have a look back on that. It's up on Facebook page. Just scroll up or scroll down. It's on our YouTube channel as well. Just a half an hour worth of rapid fire questions from our students. Again, touching on maybe faith and reason, science and faith, the problem of evil, problem of suffering, the question of forgiveness, and just the kind of format I enjoy myself, as you know, being in schools for many years as a chaplain and visiting priest. Always love the interaction with boys and girls in school, because they ask all the right questions. Some of the questions that the adults don't get around to asking, or maybe don't ask often enough. And some of these questions don't, what's the expression? Don't necessarily have an immediate sort of black and white answer to them. Very often these are questions that are grappled with all the way through life. Certainly the question of suffering, the question of mercy. Amazing, really, how we have to struggle with it a bit. But it's in the struggling with it that we come to terms, we come to realise what God's answer is to these things. Not our answer, certainly. So what a lovely moment of radio for us all Saturday afternoon, 11 through to 5 there, and just wonderful speakers. Father Vincent Stapleton from Thurles, he comes on here with us on a Monday. Sister Mara of the Dominican Nashville Sisters too, really good, I must say. And it was lovely to see Alana as well involved, Alana Bradley, who is familiar to our long-time Radio Maria listeners, because Alana worked here part-time for a while. She was working in a supermarket for a bit, and she wandered in one of the days. I think Aidan had put up a post on Facebook. This is 3 years ago, I think, at this stage, or almost 4, she was saying. I was scratching my head. Seriously? Nearly 4 years ago? Wow, it must have been late 2017 maybe when she arrived at the scene. And she came in and came to a U-Chat program with Tuesday night, herself and Sarah, and here we got chatting, and they started up a little program in themselves. And then Alana was working in a supermarket, said, look, why don't you come and work weekends with Radio Maria instead? Because like any student, they need a few bob. And marvellous and well able for it, Alana, so very competent, I must say. I can even see in her year, not quite yet, but with Focus Mission Fellowship of Catholic University Students, Focus, she's growing all the time in that faith, as indeed our dear young people with us here in the studio. Now we have 6 youth involved here, and it's bringing great energy and great vivality and conviviality to our studio, and I hope to you as well at home. So I do hope you're enjoying that. So listen back to the various podcasts and relish those wonderful speakers for our times. Well challenging, of course, being a young person today, but great hope for our radio, great hope for our faith, great hope for our country. Thanks be to God. So it's great to be a hub here in Radio Maria Ireland for all this good activity, which perhaps you might never otherwise have come across. And share this blessing with others. This is a free gift, and give it away and multiply it by giving it away. Thanks to Father Owen Gorman. Father Owen is a priest of the Diocese of Clogher. He's joined us now on the Radio Maria Breakfast Show team. Father Marius headhunted him there to come on and take over his slot on a Tuesday, and it gives Father Marius a little breather as well. In fairness to Father Marius, he's been putting in a lot of airtime with us, and it means he's free then to organise his other things. He's involved in so much stuff, that man. So he's got the Women of Faith conference coming up the first week of May. I'm looking forward to that. Some lovely speakers there. I think he's lined up a few prominent names there as well. Francis Hogan is one of them. Who else? Maria Steen, I think, too. Forget who the others are. He'll let you know. Don't worry, there's plenty of time yet. We've a bit of travelling to do yet through Holy Week, Easter week, Divine Mercy, yet into the month of April before we'll arrive there. Do you know, just thinking of that, we have Divine Mercy Novena leaflets here, if you'd like them. You know, the Divine Mercy Chaplet starts on Good Friday, leading up to the 9 days up to Divine Mercy Sunday through Easter, of course. Good Friday, there's the first day, and we will pray that with you, of course, here on Radio. As we do, we have it nearly every day, I think. We might have the Stations in the Cross, I think, 1 or 2 days. But we'll be praying that novena most certainly with you through the 9 days. So if you'd like a copy of it, just a hard copy of it, of course you can Google these things and download PDFs and all these other things if you have the technology. But we have the leaflets too. If you want to get one, we can send 1 or 2 or more to you if you wish. And we have our lovely prayer cards of St. Joseph too. You might like to get 1 or 2 of those. We're sending them out in the post. Anyone who makes a little donation or an offering, or just simply writes to us here. We always like to reply to every piece of correspondence as best we can, and we send back a nice little letter, and St. Joseph prayer card and Divine Mercy is our 2 enclosures, with the timetable, of course, for you as well, in our letters there. So unless, of course, the correspondence with us, you know, is somehow you know, sort of critical or untoward, we're not inclined to entertain that too much. We can reply by text or by email, but again, you know, if somebody wants to throw bricks through the window, we pray, and we pray God's blessing on those who are disinterested. This is a very small number, but it happens. There's no point in sending a St. Joseph's prayer card. Or maybe we should. Maybe that's all the more reason we should. Anyways, that happens too. It's simply part and parcel of it all. This Thursday coming, a little update for you, the 25th of March, we will conclude, of course, our 33-day preparation. I noticed actually from that, we've left in the dates on it's a pre-recorded version where we went through Father Michael Gately's book, and we play that back after the Rosary every 9 o'clock in the evening for the 33 days. We're on day 25, I think now. Or not, actually, no, we're not. We're way ahead of that. Let's see. Thursday is 33. So today's Tuesday, or day 31, is it? Or 2, maybe. 31. But we'll have the consecration to Jesus through Mary on Thursday in communion with all of the Radio Maria stations around the world, and as it turns out, actually in communion with the Legion, who have their Chatechesis around this time too. The Chatechesis is the gathering of legionaries who consecrate themselves to Jesus through Mary publicly with adoration and a lovely little prayer service, the Legion of Mary prayers, of course, too. So any of you active or auxiliary members of the Legion of Mary might be well familiar with the Chatechesis. Beautiful ceremony it is. My sister was saying they had it in the States there recently. Their Curia or their Regia, I'm not sure which. And of course they were able to gather because the churches are open and they're allowed to gather. Gone between us and all harm. So sad, so sad that in our country we cannot gather for prayer publicly, and well, we can go for prayer, we can't gather as a community. What is wrong with the picture? We keep it in prayer. Let's not get too frustrated, or let's not get too angry, but channel that good energy into deepening our faith in the way we're able to deepen our faith. And look, we have a share in Ireland. We have a share. Now we get it. This is what happened in penal times. Remember penal times? You learnt it in school back in the 1700s, early 1800s. 1700s, and particularly it was bad in Ireland. Mass rocks, that's all they had left. And they had a lookout, so, you know, a remote spot. And they had a lookout handy so that they could celebrate the Mass without being, the priests being arrested. Priests were in hiding. So things were far worse back then, but there was penalties for being caught celebrating Holy Mass. Extraordinary. These Mass rocks are all over the country. I bet there's one in your parish. Perhaps not the city parishes, I suppose, but certainly in the country, certainly my own diocese of Cloyne, there's Mass rocks scattered around all over the place, and some of these are marked on maps and ordnance survey and so on. Most extraordinary times they were. Now we have a small flavour of it. Small flavour. There isn't the same violence, let's say, against the church that there would have been in Ireland back in those days. And again, priests in hiding, they would have been at the very least deported places like Australia or to the Caribbean. But no, not the case today. Yet, of course, you can't travel anywhere. No, really, no question of deportation. But yes, we're getting an experience of that. So it demands of us a little more in the way of faith. God is stretching us a little bit more. Lovely readings at Mass for us today. The whole area is just touching on the idea of poison. And maybe it is that the poison is more, the poison of secularism, of humanism, of atheism. That poison is more widespread than we're willing to believe or willing to admit. And that poison is within us. I mean, I'm firmly convinced that we've all drank the poison to a greater or lesser extent. And maybe it is that we poison ourselves with this secular mindset too easily. We tune in to negative sources or different sources in relation to truth and in relation to faith. And if it is that we do that, it darkens our mind even more and weakens our intellect, weakens our will even more. They're bad enough, we're darkened and weakened already as we stand, but we need to find an antidote. So if you were one of those listening to the Ignite conference at the weekend, there's an antidote. Look at these wonderful young people. If I had half their faith when I was their age, in their early 20s, these college students, most extraordinary. And they're not taking the poison. They're not buying into the liberal, secular ideologies of our day, which are, somebody describes a poison sandwich, that the wrapping seems quite good, but the content is toxic. There's a kind of a toxic femininity, a toxic masculinity. What I mean by that is a falseness in relation to the beauty and sanctity and dignity of womanhood and femininity, and likewise a kind of an emasculation of what it is to be a man, and the whole question of virtue. I mean, you only have to mention one word will do to set it all off, and the word I'm thinking of is chastity, probably other words too. And the world will balk, will say, what, you're in the dark ages. And the poison is kicked in. Why would you advocate saying no to the urges, your sexual desire and urges and so on, when the world insists on you've got to try this out, you've got to experiment, you're not a man, you're not a woman till you've done it. Oh, come on. That's the poison. The hurt and the woundedness, we know well. I mean, again, this is my point a lot. Are we allowed to learn from the scandals? Can we possibly realize that this is something very, very sacred and very personal, and an area not to be trifled with or do we buy the poison and say, sure, no consequences? And that's what's depicted, you see, in movies and all of these romance things, and there's a falseness there that there's no consequence to a relationship, or you can just enter in and out of relationships at will and not experience any hurt. That's patently untrue, and yet we can tend to buy into the lie. That's the poison right there. Now you can multiply the examples in any which way you like on that and all of the difficult issues of our day. There's a lot of, and you can reword it and call it fake news. You have those masquerading as purveyors of truth who are patently not purveyors of truth. You have those who advocate and celebrate the question of, say, atheism, and okay, God bless you, even though you won't take that, that's not valid. Where is the consistency? Where is the reasonableness and the logic of this? Like, for instance, what does atheism have to offer us? What are you selling me here? The absence of rules and regulations, is that it? You're selling me the absence of organized, institutional, hierarchical, etc. religion. And what else? Can you give me something else here? You're saying this is it? This is all we got? When you die, you switch off the lights and that's it? Really? That's poison. It's poison, and there are those who will buy into that rather than, it seems at any rate, rather than face into the truth of the dignity of our calling, our origin and our destiny, and the challenges and responsibilities that puts before us to live and love, at the very least, as we would wish to live and love, respecting others, but at its pinnacle, to live and love as Christ has lived and loved. That's the truth. That brings us into the light. And is that challenging? Yes. He has established a church. He has given it authority. And insofar as, again, it's not authority for the sake of wielding power. That's not the case. The church herself has had to learn that too over the years. Rather one of service. And if you cancel, as you talk about the cancel culture, you cancel the church, it seems to be what some, at least a small number, would desire in Ireland. My image is driving the church over the cliffs of Moher, let it fall into the Atlantic and let it be in the past. We're done with all that stuff, all those rules and obligations. Well, maybe it was the case that there was too close an association between the church and the political order of things in the past. You can argue that too. But if you dispense with the church, you dispense with a whole world of charity, a whole world of honesty, of diligence, of goodness and beauty, and you want to just throw all that out too. Maybe that's not the answer. Don't buy into that. Don't take the poison. Don't take the poison. I was filling in a questionnaire recently online, as you do, and it asked for the gender, and it said male, female, other. And my redirect was, other? Who, what, where, when? Do you make up a gender here? That when a baby is born, it's a boy or a girl. That's it. You can't just assign any gender you want to a newborn baby. How does this make sense? And my reaction was, somebody has taken the pill here. Somebody has taken the poison. How does this hold together? Other? I mean, if and supposing, even if you could postulate an other of some kind, apart from male and female, because that's all there is. It's science. It's logic. It's reasonable. If it was there is, an other you could postulate, where do you draw the line? Where do you stop? And we've seen this. This is where this logic, which isn't logic at all, or where this goes. If you take it, you follow it through. It's anything and everything you want it to be. So I have all these letters and acronyms for every which way you want to go. And do we then decide that ourselves, or is it not imprinted in our very being from the moment we're born? And how have we got so? What's happened to our sense of reason that we come to that point that we have to struggle with these things, where black is now the new white? It's just you run out of words. You sort of you wonder, and the best I can come up with are I suppose the charitable way, because again, this isn't about condemning. We're not in the business of condemning anyone, but at least allow the truth to be spoken. Allow the light and that which will bring us healing, or that will bring us health, be allowed to be. Is it now that we're going down this path of sort of disintegration, that everything is just broken up little pieces, and we all just become one sort of, what would you say, a movement of individuals? Can we not hold anything in common now? Is this what we're left with? It's all about opinions. Everything is completely subjective. There's no objectivity to truth anymore. It's whatever you want it to be. My truth is I am XYZ, and that's how I want to be identified. Again, I just shrug my shoulders. There's a poison going around. There's a poison going around, and so it's part good and part bad, and that's what poison does. Again, like I was mentioning, the rat poison, You know, there's good food in it there, but it's laced with stuff that's toxic. And this is the way the devil works all the time. That's how temptation works. The fruit, go back to the Garden of Eden. The fruit, oh look, it's good to eat. It will give you knowledge. It will set you free. You will be like gods. So there's the poison sandwich right there. God said, and be obedient, do not eat the fruit of the tree. That was the one rule. He said, look, I gave you one rule. How hard is this? So the Eve was tempted by the wiliness of the serpent. It seemed good. And this is the danger we find ourselves in. So the antidote then is coming into the light and basking in that light. As many of you indeed are doing, as we've discovered here on Radio Maria. What a great gift and what a great blessing that you have it switched on. You're listening in. You're doing your stuff. We're getting on with your life. But there's healthy, life-giving, and inspiring radio there. That you're allowing your ears and your heart and your mind to be filled with something that's not of this secular world. We don't care in the least for celebrity here. We do not do gossip. We're not into the worldly nonsense that, what is all that innate? We simply have one objective in mind, that is the service of the gospel given over to you as a listener and a viewer to whom this belongs. This isn't my thing or my gig. It doesn't belong to me. I'm indifferent. It's been a gift to me in the first place. Everything that's around me here in the studio, you see, was paid for by generous listeners. This is not mine. None of it belongs to me. And so because we freely received all these, we use them, seek to maximize them with this journey into the light in mind for all of us. And we share in it together. We grow. That's why we love to hear from you, and we love to have you interacting with us, because let's walk in the light together and be delivered and set free of the poison of sin, the poison of negativity in the world today, the poison of false teaching. And it abounds, it really does. And I was driving back, I was back to where I'm living here in Dublin last night, and just thinking, what is going on? It seems as if people, I was just contrasting in my head just the quietness of the streets relative to with some lovely weather today now as well. But last Friday, the young people were out in force all along the canal. Irrepressible, you couldn't not. Police were doing, the guards doing their best to try to move them on. But they were gathering in large numbers. And just the contrast then, I suppose it was late when I was driving back, but wondering, have we all, taken the poison too? We have our gadgets, we're entertained, we're kind of provided for, we're quite well off relatively. And is that stopping us in some way, or holding us back, or darkening us? We're not mixing with each other as much. It's healthy to mix with each other. And it's especially the poor who need that outreach. These are things worth reflecting on and discerning and working on. What does our faith demand of us here? And in these kind of strange circumstances where there seems to be no goalposts or something, just chatting with priests there, it's all a bit surreal that all the activity that we were so frenetically involved in for years and years as priests, all of a sudden is just kind of dried up. There's something like, now what? No, there's no need for it to dry up, because in fact my admonition indeed in those circumstances is that every priest should be dynamically involved in some way with preaching the gospel online. This is the new forum. Get yourself a microphone, start podcasting, get yourself a video camera, sit down, figure it out, work it out, and if you can't, get somebody to show you how to do it, and start preaching the gospel. Just pray online with people. Start a conversation. That this isn't the time to just sit back and do nothing. And you see, again, lulling ourselves into a kind of false world. That how difficult it will be to get back to work if the time comes, and that there are some priests may be reluctant to get back to allowing parishioners come together again, for fear. Is that part of the poison too? These are all questions, demanding questions, and well worth asking and putting to ourselves. And I would suggest the response is come into the light. Stay out of the darkness. There's work to be done. The harvest is rich. The labourers are few. We've never had such powerful tools to convey the gospel now. And it's never been easier to, drop a link on a WhatsApp group, send it to your friends, have a Facebook page and circulate it that way, send a text message, make a phone call. Communication has never been as good as it, in the history of the planet. We've got so much potential here to really convey the truth. There's a challenge, and so that those passages today, they looked at the fiery serpent and lived. We looked at Jesus on the cross and lived. The poison is extricated. Did you ever see those movies where if somebody's bitten by a snake, they kind of suck the poison out of the Indians, that was there, suck the poison out of the wound. Amazing. So Christ then, delivers us of that. Good, I'm going to share a little piece of music with you. I always do love to hear from you. Again, 089 467 2000 is the text and WhatsApp number here. info@radiomaria.ie is the email. And give Mary a ring. She's waiting to answer the phone for you there. 014123456. Write those numbers down. Keep them handy and do keep in touch with us with your prayer requests. Music requests are a little bit difficult to get to with any kind of regularity, but the lunchtime show is our opportunity to play music requests too. But your own thoughts, share your own thoughts with us. Father Owen was chatting with us there, the new breakfast show host there, Father Owen Gorman this morning, and inviting you likewise to participate in the conversation. So do please that. So we had a lovely CD. This group came to see us a few years ago. We met them at the World Meeting of Families. Fabulous group from Derry. Not sure if they've done any new CD recently. We should get in touch with them maybe and feature them again. Lovely Catholic group of singers. And this track's called Butterfly. Beautiful piece, all composed by themselves and sung by themselves so beautifully. And it's about this transformation indeed, that our Lenten transformation is coming to a close these 2 weeks, and we're looking to transform now into a new creature in Christ. So do get in touch. Thanks for joining us here on Radio Maria, a Catholic voice in your home. Yeah. Aye.
I'll go straight into a Pure in Heart, about 10-second jingle they're on today.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Alexandria.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Marie.
And we're from Pure in Heart.
Join us every second Tuesday from 4 to 5 p.m, where we will be talking about chastity, theology of the body, purity, and lots more.
Looking forward to hearing from you.
Oh, there you go. Pure in Heart. Certainly do listen in later on. Wonderful group of young people again. Listen, in the light, not allowing themselves to be poisoned by the darkness of error of our times in relation to life and love. Our Tuesday evening youth chat as well is a good moment. There's lots of podcasts to listen back to there as well. We've been going through an examination of conscience in fine detail, I might say. And Tara actually has been a lovely addition to that. Dave and Claire are involved, of course, with that for a long time since. And Tara brings some marvellous fresh insights to that conversation. So, excuse me, talking about our marvellous young people. And man, such great maturity too. So that's worth a listen back to. Check out the podcast by all means. That'll be 7 o'clock tonight as well. So, thanks be to God for that. So much good going on there. So much to share. Thanks be to God. Let me see. There was 1 or 2 messages there. I think. Where did they all disappear to from? Yeah, thanks to Susan, who's watching on Facebook, and Christine as well on Facebook as well. Shout out there to you all. Thanks for being part of the radio here. What else? Some prayer intentions coming in there as well. I see a lot of prayer intentions, in fact, coming in. So thanks for that. And remembering some of those at Holy Mass off air earlier on to Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is Mass from outside of the studio here, which is good. And Sundays actually as well. And the objective, of course, would be to have Mass outside the studio all the time. I've been doing a bit of listening to Radio Maria Italy, and they have mobile studios that they have all around the country. I think they've about 400 of them. There's some ridiculous number. They're going for 40 odd years, so they're well established. But they have a lovely routine going that they will feature Mass from a new parish church every day. It takes some little organising it all that together. And they have local teams of people then with the mobile mixing desk and able to connect in. We have the super advantage that we don't need any of that technology so long as there's a webcam. And we can just connect in immediately. The one good thing about a mobile studio means the little team has to visit the parish, get it all organised and get the priest organised and get him ready for a broadcast on radio, let's say. And the congregation primed then for singing and prayers, and they bring literature with them that they're all praying from. They probably have a little rehearsal with them beforehand too. That's all very good. It's a lovely way to really get the audience, if you like, the congregation, very interactive in their faith. Kind of to lean forward a bit in the seat because, hey, we're broadcasting on the radio here. And enhancing the celebration of the Holy Mass, allowing the priest to preach and prayers of the faithful too. And just involving the parish so they become more animated in their faith as a result. And the radio, it helps the radio in a way as well, doesn't have that interaction as well. So that's something unfortunately we're missing a little today. With God's help, that'll come back around again, and we'll engage at that level too. And because we don't need to bring a mixing desk with us, we can make the contacts over the phone and maybe have a local contact. If that's something you can maybe help with by way of local promotion, again, please do let us know. I just got a text in there as a man there, a farmer. He has some road frontage. And I presume with planning permission, I'm not sure quite the logistics of it. It's something we're talking through anyway. With the possibility of putting up a little road sign, it can be discreet enough, doesn't have to be a big sort of open thing, but just advertising Radio Maria. So, we see them on the side of the roads and around the country here. They're not prolific and probably wouldn't be right to, well, I don't know, I mean, you can argue to have them all over the place, but little images of the Divine Mercy, I've seen them on poles and on the side, on ditches and so on, and just Jesus, I trust in you. And that's, you're driving past and there's the sign and, you're saying the prayer without realising it. I just love that. And if it is, we can have some of these signs like that scattered around the country in Ireland. It's just maybe a nice way of just alerting people to the existence of Radio Maria. It's just a thought, and again, it's something that we had an idea that we could do with permission, and certainly the permission of landowners. So if you know somebody, or if you yourself have a bit of road frontage there, or even your front window, we have the stickers for windows as well to put it up. I know people have done that in their house if they're on a main street or something, put the sticker on the window, and there you go. Just sow a little seed, sow a little seed, sow a little seed. And there's again your antidote to the poison that we've been speaking of. That we're seeking to not curse the darkness, but light a little candle. And my hope and prayer certainly is that Radio Maria will be at the service of the whole church. We've been speaking with a number of bishops of late with that in mind, that we're here to help. We're here to assist. We're here to be happy to be a kind of a hub for all of the good that's going on in the country, like Ignite and so many other marvellous apostolates and ministries and wonderful work that's going on in the church, even in the current conditions. There's a huge amount of online activity. The Legion of Mary conference, of course, is online this weekend too, and they've set up a kind of it's not a television station really, but just the evenings of the week. The Deus et Patria committee there in the Legion of Mary here in Dublin will be the youth version of things, but they set up a Zoom gathering for the weekend, the evenings of the week, if you want to join in for talks and prayers and so on. And fair play to them, that's excellent. It's a great way of having a bit of fellowship in the evenings and a bit of healthy TV viewing, if you like. Now it's Zoom and it has its own limitations and that, and has its moments. I find it Zoom, some people say there's so much Zoom you can take. Again, microphones, signals can vary, and it can be a bit frustrating at times. And that's the beauty of the radio. We can be a little bit more consistent in that regard and ensure some bit of regular continuity and quality as best we can too. That's the advantage of the radio. And the radio is not visual, so you don't have to sit and watch. There's the other advantage. You can have it on and you can be doing whatever you want to be doing and still enjoying the company too. My time's come to an end, and I don't know where that went. I was a little bit late coming to the microphone today, so apologies for that. Thanks for viewing in on Facebook and YouTube. Again, do hit the like button. That just brings us up the playing field in terms of the algorithm of being found on these social media. And by all means, share it with your friends. Just let them know, look, something here. If you have time to have a look at it, you'll be welcome to do it. So now it's 12 o'clock, and thanks to Aidan looking after the mixing desk there. Shane is taking over now. He's going to join us for prayer. So every grace and blessing upon you. We do look forward to Thursday and the Feast of the Annunciation and our consecration to Jesus through Mary. And we'll have a world event with the World Family of Radio Maria at 3 o'clock on Thursday. Instead of the Divine Mercy, we'll be sharing the Holy Rosary from Nazareth. Very appropriate on the Feast of the Annunciation. It's a special World Family of Radio Maria event. So more about that tomorrow as well. Time now for our Angelus and our midday prayer. God bless you all. Talk to you all tomorrow.